This is Fireside Chat with me, Johnny B. All right, hey, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. This is episode 3 with Josh Bird, United States Marine Corps veteran, and we were we weren't exactly expecting to make us a 3-part episode, but this is an incredible story. Um, we've talked about 2 deployments to Iraq now. How you grew up in uh, Burnett down in Texas, outside of Austin, and now where we're picking back up, you're leaving your second tour in Iraq, and you're coming back home. So as you're coming home, like, you still haven't really had that encounter with Christ. I mean, I think at one point you mentioned that you were believing God was there, but at what point after all of this do you submit?
You know, and honestly, it took me years to finally actually submit. Um, but um, on my way home, I'll just fast forward. All those when we left off with the CS gas grenade incident.
I think that one's going to live on in infamy for a while.
Oh, it still gets me to today. I'm like, I still wonder if they ever, found out about that. Right. It was probably the one of the more safer things that I've done.
Hmm.
So, um,
That's kind of scary that that was one of the more
yeah,
safer things you
I'm,
did,
I'm,
and that was pretty dumb.
that's pretty dumb.
I mean, there was that whole landmine incident too.
Yeah, I got safer with things.
Right.
um, so we get home, and again, it's just your comfort, my safety was alcohol, and this time it was my addiction to like alcohol. I mean, I got into back into pornography, and here I am married and have a kid, and it's just I'm not used to that life.
Yeah.
That life scared me. Like I didn't know how to be a person.
Hmm.
I told my wife several times, like she didn't understand, but I was like, I miss Iraq. At least I knew what to do.
Hmm.
I knew the enemy there and how to fight it and how to deal with it and cope with it.
You knew what the rules were.
Yep. In marriage, like you just have to figure it out. Like you're not like men. There's nothing in society, especially today, that teach you how to be a man of Christ and a man, let alone a man of Christ. There's
Right.
nothing that teaches you that. So I didn't know how to be a man. I didn't know how to be a husband. Didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't know who I was. Um, I knew I had Christ. I mean, we had our church family. We found a church called New Song Community
Hmm.
Church. It's quite like FOTP. We were plugged in. I was going to
Real
church.
quick, for those of
Yeah.
you that don't know, when we say FOTP, we're talking about Fellowship of the Parks here
Yeah.
in the
Sorry about
Dallas Fort Worth area in Texas.
Yeah. Um, was a church much like that. We had mentors. We had my our old pastor from the first Iraq war when we lived in Temecula, California. Very beautiful. Menifee, Marietta, Riverside,
Yeah.
Temecula.
Wine country in the Southern
Oh,
California
Fallbrook is avocado country. Jason Mraz has a Fallbrook or has a avocado farm in Fallbrook.
area. Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that till
That's
we got
pretty cool,
out.
actually.
Yeah, and so
Very talented musician.
oh yeah, for sure. Very hilly, perfect for wine. The temperature is like 80 degrees at the hottest, and with a cool ocean breeze, must be nice. That's a heat wave in California is 85 degrees.
If only we could experience that here in Texas
Right.
in August.
And so, man, uh, so I have these mentors. They were my mentors, and they were both pastors. The other one was a Spanish speaking pastor. He was from Honduras, but him and his family lived close to the church, and he was mentoring me about um, uh, adultery and like pornography being adultery. You're cheating on your spouse in your heart when you're looking at these things.
Right.
It's not good. And he would have like he was like kind of giving me a hard time about it. And but then,
Right. There's the accountability.
there's the accountability of it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And so, you know, um, and so I just, I kind of went with it, and I felt kind of ashamed and all that stuff. And, he would always be like, brothers in Christ, you're able to do that to build each other up and things like that. Well,
Taking the iron sharpens iron
right.
to a little bit of an extreme.
And I noticed it was never about any of the alcohol, never talked about that. We go straight to, you shouldn't look at porn. That's bad, but horrible. And I already had felt some kind of way about it. I knew, because deep down inside, like the Holy Spirit was like, you got to just, you got to work on that. You got to get help with that. You got to
Hmm.
figure, get help with the alcohol. But the alcohol, was just such a even bigger part of my life than anything else.
Yeah.
That was my comfort. And so,
Your security blanket.
yeah. And so, and we decided I decided to get out because my unit was gearing up to go right back out to Iraq again for a whole nother year. I felt like it was like I was stationed in the Middle East and I get to deploy to the real world in continental US.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. My reality was totally screwed.
Hmm.
And my wife just didn't understand that. And I remember a couple times I would get blackout drunk, and I loved it. I felt like addicted to getting blacked out drunk. And um it was a phase where she thought, "Oh, he'll get over it." But then she quickly learned, like, that's just what Marines do.
Hmm.
They're known for that. Um, during the time not really realizing I was actually I'm sorry. I was actually an alcoholic.
Hmm.
Um, but that's just normal to me, normal life to me. I mean, I would drink at work meaning drink while I was in the office, but that, I was working around staff NCOs that drank too. So they would have it in their office and they would share it around and stuff like that. So I was always around it no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, so Bruce talks about another deployment. I was like, I'm done. We're done. I'll go use the GI Bill. I'll go to school and I'll find work. And mind you, this is 2007, the end of 2007,
Oh wow. Right before the housing bubble.
right before that. Didn't
Oh
even know
wow.
that either. So we moved back home. Think it's going to be great. Family's there, you know, even my own family doesn't understand what it's like. And I'm still coping with not knowing who I was, or I'm not good with it. With the first Iraq deployment, let alone the second, and then getting out and having a kid. And then you get out, I try to find jobs. Um, I find jobs for like 3 and 4 months at a time, and they just don't work out, or just they can't keep people because of the recession. And I'm like, what? And so my wife gets pregnant again. Now we have a son on the way.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, we were living in this tiny apartment back home, close to my parents, and we're still trying to figure out how to be a family, and they want to be all up in our business and see us. And it created more tension with them,
Hmm.
because they think, we're young. We're like, I think my wife was 21 when she had by the time she had two kids already. So we're still really young parents.
Right.
We're just trying to figure it out, go through several jobs, wind up in Cedar Park. I work another job, dead end job. Um, and then I remember what I was doing, but I wanted a sticker. I know the recruiting office always has good stickers. So
Any branch, it doesn't matter what branch you go to. They always have the good stuff.
yeah. And so,
If you want to get some swag, you go swing through there.
so went right back in and was like, I didn't, you know, I told him that this was my old recruiting station, and we got to talking to somebody, and he gave me his card, and he's like, hard times, comfort. Hard times means desperate measures to keep a job. And he's like spitting the recruiting game,
Yep.
but it got to me. It did.
It got you.
There was that open door, and it was God again. It was God coming through again. Whenever we're looking at one. I was barely making $10 an hour, and we were trying to survive. um we're raising two kids in this tiny apartment back home, and it's like
Mhm.
not working out. Everything, all the doors are closing, everything on just staying here. And believe it or not, my wife was like, you have an opportunity to get back in, you need to get back in. I'm like, get back into the place that helped mess me up, get back into the Marine Corps, are you sure? well she well, it was desperate times calls for desperate measures, like
Yeah.
the recruiter had said. I went right back to that office a week later and I said, "Where do I sign up?" And he was
They were
like,
working together.
"Oh man." I was like, "It was what it felt like."
He must have called her, wouldn't
Somehow. So there was a list of 10 people on a prior service list for the Marine Corps that year. I think I made it like number 3 on the list. But seriously, after that year, the Marine Corps didn't do prior service enlistments anymore. They quit doing it.
you? Hmm.
So I was just made it through that tiny little window. And I think I basically, until they could I could get orders. I was a recruiter for 3 months,
Hmm.
so I had to help recruit and yada yada. Get back to Camp Pendleton, right back to Camp Pendleton, where I'd been stationed before, but this time I was with a highly decorated regiment, like the
Yeah.
oldest. Literally, this regiment has the most rich history for combat engagements in the Marine Corps, and it is the oldest regiment in the United States Marine Corps since 1775, the Fifth Marine Regiment, and they're known for going. They're the ones that pretty much go in first and they blow stuff up and pave the way.
Yeah.
Well, um, I'll try to get through those. Well, those we I did 5 years because I I extended my contract so I could deploy with them at the end of the towards the end of the 4 years.
Hmm.
But before then, we got back into California. We were living on base, and the housing was so nice. It's the Oceanside main gate,
Yeah.
but it
Beautiful
was
area
still,
as well.
yeah. I mean, our bedroom window, we look out of it and you just see ocean.
Hmm.
It was so
Yeah, I
beautiful.
remember. I used to run half marathons at Oceanside.
Yeah, and so, well, Marines
The,
have their
the OC half marathon.
wow.
Yeah, that one was fun.
I never tried that one. Um, I think I did like Tough Mudder one time.
Oh yeah.
Um, and no, Marines have their own little like recreational beach called Del Mar Beach.
Hmm.
We live 2 minutes from there. Like I could get in my car and drive 2 whole minutes across the little highway, little bridge, and just go to the beach every day if I wanted to.
Hmm.
And we do.
I remember that area.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But then you have like Edson Range, which is where boot camp is, and then you have like there's like these LCAC Navy LCAC units,
Hmm.
like the little hovercraft
Yeah.
units.
Yep.
I remember
I
like
saw Craft Unit 5.
so cool, dude. I
Yeah.
remember we would do as a unit, we'd do beach runs up and down that beach,
Hmm.
and we'd do it barefooted. And I remember getting stress fractures every time we do it barefoot. I get stress fractures in my feet and like shin splints
Hmm.
because like the sand is not good for your feet to
No.
run on.
No.
No,
Definitely not.
yeah. Um, we would watch those things like fly off the cliff into the water. It was pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Or
Those things are pretty neat.
they are really cool.
I can tell you stories about those.
Yeah, I totally forgot the Navy has that. You don't
Yeah.
see it advertised anywhere, or you don't see those things on TV or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's those things that make me familiar with Delmar Beach.
Yeah, and so, well, our kids are by this time um, kindergarten age, and I think my daughter was like 6, and my son was 4, and we lived on base. The older ones, the Olivia, she was born on in the Naval Hospital in Camp Pendleton,
Hmm.
her first enlistment, and my son was born in Round Rock, and then we lived on. It was a really nice little townhome, and and we spent we took advantage. We like went. we still visited Temecula, and we still visited our friends from when we were still in the first time, and
Yeah, all the things that families do
yeah,
in
and
Southern California.
exactly, we had fun. We used to go up and down the Highway 101, and that's the coolest highway. If you guys haven't been to California and you want to check something out, the 101 goes from all the way at the bottom of San Diego all the way to the Northern California.
Hmm.
You go through Maui, where all the big rich houses are, and but there's a lot of history there. And then with that, there's a lot of history with the unit that I was with, and we're constantly training though. We had to do like 2 years worth of training to do 1 year worth of deployment as a
Hmm.
whole entire regiment. And this time I was the regimental maintenance management chief. I was the one making the decisions on how to where my gear sets go. And gear sets, I'm talking weapons, like lots of technology in these weapons, lots of crypto gear, uh, cryptic gear, meaning like sensitive, um, top secret type equipment.
Right.
You had to have at least a secret clearance just to be in the same room
Yeah.
as this stuff. And some of the weapon systems, well, and then the vehicles itself, the vehicles were just a tool for the weapon systems and the communication gear.
Hmm.
Like you would think the vehicles like the main thing, and then it's the weapon gear. Well, like some of this, the whole entire kit make up a weapon system, and some of that is like rockets on vehicles and things like that. Interesting looking Humvees with rockets on it.
Yeah.
That's a weapon system, not just a Humvee with a rocket system. It's a rocket system that uses a Humvee as the mode of
Yeah.
transportation.
Just a means of getting around and
And
positioning.
we're talking $500 million worth of equipment in one unit's gear set. But if you're the regimental maintenance management chief, you're in charge of the regiment's gear and your 4 battalions worth of gear. Like you're the person that schedules maintenance and all that stuff and does training for maintenance personnel, and like basically I'm the project manager for the entire unit. And they're looking to me to switch out gear and like make sure I had to maintain 95% readiness at all times for training and for combat. So, but what and so we did like Bridgeport is the Mountain Warfare Training Center. They wait till September where the blizzard season starts, and then they would say, "Okay, time to train in the blizzard." We probably did that 3 times, and we did 3 winter packages. We were living on the mountain, and it's like -20 on top of the mountain. We come with 50 people, and the training is so intense that you come back and like 15 people get frostbite cases, and like but 10 out of those people are like amputee cases, like
Oh wow.
fingers and toes, and I think 1 foot. Like it's that intense. You spend time and you do like gorge crossing. It's like 1,000 foot gorge, or and you do a lot of rappelling, but you're making your own harness out of a rope. And if you don't pay attention, you get hurt. And so, but you train for the mountainous area because Afghanistan has mountains on the northern half. But and then we did a lot of 29 Palms Mojave Viper training in the desert because well we got the desert half, but we still had to train for both
Just in case.
just
Yeah.
in case, But that's months away from the family. I'm still not recovering. I'm not getting help at this point.
Hmm.
I'm not leaning on Christ. I'm just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ has always been there. Obviously, there's been so many times where I should be dead by accident that I've created, or
Hmm.
you know,
Or just other
just
circumstances in
other
general.
circumstances too. So, with the training, I'm training for 3 months and then I'm home for 3 months. So I'm training for 3 months, and there's a lot of inconsistency with the children and the wife, and um, she's just a strong woman. She's a Marine Corps wife, so she knows the drill. She's the dad and the mom when I'm not there.
Right.
And when I come home, I'm just like my dad. I'm the absent father. I'm physically there, but I'm not there because I'm just going through my own stuff or drinking
Yeah.
to get rid of things, or
Not to mention you're physically exhausted as well.
physically exhausted, man. And you know, ears ringing constantly,
Hmm.
not paying attention to that kind of stuff. And it's not taking care of myself
Yeah,
because
you're broken down medically, you're broken down
yeah,
emotionally. You can't really say you're broken down spiritually because
yeah,
you didn't have that yet.
yeah, I didn't really have that intervention yet. Um, so then we do that. We say, you know, this go on a deployment. It's not as intense fighting, other than the first part of it, where 3-5, our unit goes there in the Marja district and it gets totally destroyed. They come back with like we're sending combat replacements because they're coming back with half their people. Like
Yeah.
a lot of their people died, and the ones that did survive are amputee cases, or they're just totally screwed
Hmm.
mentally. Um, but we're going right into that, mind you. But this time, I was able to stay on base most of the time. There's occasions where I have to convoy. I think I remember convoying once or twice, and then I flew a lot of the times. I flew a lot of the equipment to hurry up and get it back, to get it out to other bases. I remember one time we're in a MRAP this time, a mine proof, supposedly mine proof vehicle, but those things get hammered all the
Yeah.
time and blown open, and they're not mine proof at all. You just they're really heavy and they're thick metal, so you feel safe, but you're still not safe.
Hmm.
Safer than paper doors and sandbags in a Humvee.
Granted.
But the explosive it takes to blow one of these things up is massive. 120 pounds of TNT will absolutely destroy one of these things.
Yeah.
That's a lot of TNT.
But they had that.
But they had that. They made that.
Yeah.
Rice cookers. They used rice cookers and pesticides.
Mm.
Interesting. Um, yeah, there was a lot even in that deployment that I dealt with. Um, but still combat. You're still getting shot at when you're on the convoys. We were pulling up to a village and we are checking trucks in and we're going through our fob or forward operating base when we got to this I don't know, it was like a 3 or 4 hour convoy, but it was only like 40 miles away. But it takes that long just to convoy when you have 10 or 15 trucks that you're convoying with gear and all the stuff. And so we stop, but for whatever reason the driver wasn't supposed to stop where he stopped. We start getting shot at. Like it's not like major crew serve weapons and stuff, but it's like AK-47s and okay, well fine, we're gonna jump out and provide security and
Yeah.
shoot back. Well,
Oh, AK-47s. Those are still 308 rounds.
it's still 308 rounds. Still, they're not aimed in. They're just like I don't think they're trying to they're just trying to make us mad. I don't know, but we're not taking that chance. We jump out. I was the third person out, and I had a 180-pound pack. I completely land way wrong. Like my left leg extends all the way, and my right leg caught the back of the ladder or whatever.
Mm.
And I landed on my ankle. I rolled that, twisted my knee, but as I'm in this weird position, someone lands on top of me on top of that
Oh, wow.
with a bent, twisted, rolled ankle. It's not like Dak Prescott and his broken ankle. I'm surprised I didn't
Yeah.
snap it.
And they have a 180-pound bag
Yeah,
on
and
them,
they're
too.
big guys too.
Dang.
And so the corpsman thought I was all shot up, or they just saw me fall. Like they heard shots and they just thought of the worst thing. So they turn around, grab my gear, throw it in there, and like 4 or 5 people throw me in the thing, and with my busted ankle and stuff, like making it worse. I think I blew a disc too on top of that because when someone landed on me, I like flattened. I don't know. It was a mess.
Yeah.
You know, um, we're trying to drive back. We're trying to get into the fob to the aid station in there to assess me, and I'm like kind of sitting there in my seat, like semi hunched over, and I look up, and this bullet had hit the window where I was staring at, and it hit it, and it like stuck in there, and it was meant for me.
Mm.
Like they shot into my window because they saw someone that they wanted to shoot, but they kept shooting it, and once those um, bulletproof, quote unquote, air quotes, windows. They can take 1 or 2 rounds, but after that, if they get a repeated hit, like, it's gonna not be bulletproof anymore.
Right.
And so, I'm like, "Why are we still sitting here? What the heck do we need to wait for?" And then they take off, and it's like, wow, man, that could have had it been a 50 cal round, that would have went straight through that thing. Thank God I don't think they don't possess those unless they steal them from army convoys. That's what they do that too. But like, um, so I get busted. We finally get done with the deployment. I come back and now I'm hurt though. Now I can't PT. I can't run. As soon as I start running about a mile into it, I'm a sergeant at this point, so I have to run my Marines. But man, I can't even do a regular, just a cadence call run, which is like a 3 mile run where you're screaming out cadence. Get like a mile into it, my back seizes up and my knees are hurting, and I'm getting yelled at for not being able to run. I'm like, it's not my fault. I'm busted. And so I go to the corpsman, and they check me out. They're like, "Oh, you have a blown disc. Like
Here's
you're
some foot powder.
yeah, yeah, you have a blown disc. Like your knees have no cartilage. Your feet are have so many stress fractures. Like you can't pass a hearing test. Um, and then you don't even evaluate the mental stuff because they can't see that.
Mm-hmm.
So they give you this check in the box. This death by PowerPoint for 2 weeks of don't drink, don't drive, don't beat your wife, don't do this, don't.
Yeah, all the stuff they can say. Hey, we told him
We
not
told
to
them
do
not to
that.
do this. We told them they can get help. There's no help in that. And so
Right.
it's time this time that door closed in of itself. I can't reenlist because I can't even pass a physical. And I don't know they can't figure out what's wrong with me yet. I told them, and they wrote it in my medical records. I thought I was doing better. I thought I healed myself, with drinking and pills, and I was kind of like feeling better. So I went to the gym, and then I tried to do some squats, and I made it worse. Totally, totally made it worse. At that point, I was just like, what the heck? So not only that, there's a couple other factors. Um, to pick up like staff sergeant, they changed the they changed the prerequisites for that, and I didn't even meet the window to pick up staff because it when I got out the first time, it zeroed out my score and I had to start over as a corporal.
Yeah.
So I had to spend this whole other enlistment catching up and picking up sergeant in enough time, hopefully in enough time to be in that window to make staff NCO.
Yeah.
All in the while, I was put on the recruiter list, but I was trying for the drill field. But now the drill field is out because I can't PT.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So
and
now
then
you're up against higher tenure.
now my tenure, I'm probably not going to make that because that's a little too close. The only thing that would have saved me is to do recruiting. Well, be a recruiter. Well, I still can't pass a PFT, and I can't technically reenlist yet because I've already extended, but now I have to actually do the paperwork. Well, before I talked to my career planner before. The whole point was to extend to go deploy. After that, we're going to talk about reenlistment and what drill or recruiting. What are you going to do? Well, drill field's out, so he retires. Mind you, his job is to send your recruiting paperwork to division and headquarters Marine Corps to sign off on it and finish it out. Well, he left 5 people's recruiting or 5 people's like SRB and paperwork and whole entire careers, just stuffed them in his desk and retired and never sent my paperwork up. At this point, that's way too late. Like I have to just get out.
Yeah.
And so my unit's like, I'm sorry that happened. You're broken. You can't reenlist. And now you can't go to the drill field or the recruiting be a recruiter because of your tenure. There's 3 things against me. That door slammed totally shut, like Christ was like, "You're not staying in. This is not for you. Like you did your time. You did your time times three.
Hmm.
You sacrificed your body and your family time." My wife is like, we'll figure it out. God will take care of us. We'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah, just gotta trust him.
And so I have a relationship, but it's just not as close.
Yeah.
As we got out, get back home, here we go again, round two. My family has to live with my parents and I have to find work. And I found work up here in Irving. I lived in a little apartment for like 4 months until I could move my family here and we get to Hazlitt. July 2013 is when we finally rented a house in Hazlitt and we moved everybody here and we found Fellowship of the Parks.
Yeah, what's funny is July 2013, that was when I was finally coming home.
Wow.
Same month,
Wow.
very same month.
And you grew up around here, so you came here
No,
back here?
I grew up down in Austin just like you
Oh,
did.
okay. Okay. That's right. That's right. The
But
same recruiting station.
but when I got out, I went over to the other side of Dallas. I had another career lined up over there, and then came over to the Fort Worth side
Wow.
when I switched jobs.
Okay. So
But yeah, same time,
that's insane,
same
man.
time.
That's insane. We're all like paralleled.
Yeah, recruited out of the same office.
That's a small world. Golly. Probably yeah, wow. Okay. So we get home. We finally get into Hazlitt and we're settling in. We're trying out different churches, tried Gateway. And
Great church, by the way.
it's good. It's a
Yeah,
good church.
great church.
I just feel like it wasn't
Gateway people, we love you.
yeah, for sure. I just felt like it wasn't like New Song. I wanted something like New Song. Gateway felt too big for us. We no offense, it's still a good great church, like you
Yeah.
said. We would go there. We went there. We were going there for a month. The one off of Basswood,
Hmm.
and but we would go there every Sunday, and the same person would see us, but they would be like, "Hey, welcome to." I'm like, "You've seen us last week,"
Yeah.
but it was like that with everybody though. Everyone was like, "Well, welcome. Your first time?" No, we saw you guys 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Hey, we've been here a month
Yeah,
already.
we've been here a month already, and but it was like it was that thing where it just didn't feel homey, we're just decided to try out Fellowship of the Park since it was in the neighborhood already. And the moment we got there, Chuck Machika was on point and like made us feel like kind of remind me of an old friend. And like it was like, oh, this is like New Song. Like we have to stay here. So we were trying to figure out what we were gonna do. Right, Gateway, New Song, going through some things, trying to settle in. And then I get the news that the guy, the my mentor from New Song, that kept hounding me and like making me feel bad for being addicted to pornography. He
Hmm.
cheated on his wife.
Oh, wow.
So apparently, that whole time that I was his mentoree. He was currently cheating on his wife then, and that's why he made it a point to be like adultery, adultery, porn is adultery. You'll do this,
Oh, so he was projecting
He was
the whole time.
projecting the entire time. I felt like my whole world, as far as religion, as far as Christ, like if that's the kind of people you have, and he's a pastor
Yeah,
that did that,
that hurts.
that hurts, man. So literally 2 weeks after we found that news out, we were on Facebook, and our other pastor, our first pastor, did the same thing. He
Oh,
cheated
wow.
on his wife. That's two in a row in 2 weeks. Two huge main people in my life that brought me to Christ. Mainly my wife did, but those
Yeah.
guys, like,
But when they're that close, when they're pouring into you like
they
that,
poured into me.
like how do you not take that personally? There's a an emotional toll that that takes on you as well.
It was huge. It impacted me majorly. All the while, I'm still in my mess of drinking, and
Right.
I'm not addicted to porn and watching it. But I mean, the temptation is there. I
Oh yeah.
learned when I get stressed out like that, and if I'm not reading my word, if I'm not close, the enemy knows how to use things, and he'll use my past against me, or he'll try to.
Hmm.
But now I'm able to see it coming. Um, but that was just kind of like one of those things that was on my mind for a while, I dealt with. And then so, we meet Chuck, we get plugged in right away. We became part of his life group when he started off in his when they were over at his house when he
Yeah.
lived across from Sendero Ranch Elementary 8 or almost 10 years ago. Um, and then my wife, she was a pastor's assistant when we were at New Song. Well, Chuck offered her that position because the other lady there, her name is Beth, and she's a good friend. Um, she started like her own little CG workout group, and it took off for her, and so she was unable to be the assistant. So Corinne, my wife, took over for that job, and she did that for like 8 years or something. Well, that's how we church FOGP and Hazlet became our home, like our second home.
Yeah.
Like kids were running around there, like we are always there volunteering, and we still volunteer where we can here and there. And she met um her best friend and our sister, Angela Lippens, and those two ladies, one day, God has impacted our life at this point.
Yeah.
So 6 years ago, God really intervened in it for whatever reason. My kids are older now, and we have a third one. In 2014, Emilio was born, and we have a baby and two older kids at this point. And we this house that we live in now, I think it was like right as we moved into the house, 2017. It was actually a couple of days after Thanksgiving of 2017, after I got darn near blacked out drunk and my kids saw it for the first time. They thought I was going to die. They thought I was dying. They thought that, and mom, and she got tired of kind of, taking up for me and explaining things. And she just had this moment where she, throughout our marriage, there has been this whole, there's been several, like three different times I can remember. She was about to pack it up and leave,
Hmm.
and she had every right to. I was a broken, messed up person. I was broken before the Marine Corps, and I was broken definitely every deployment after that.
Yeah.
And I've been broken for a long time. Well,
Just kept compounding it and
she
compounding
just, yeah, but she stayed with me. She's true. She's my true soulmate, my best friend. Um, Aside from God, she's put on this earth for me, and I am for her. I'm that for her too.
it.
Um, and we never get tired of each other, and we're each other's best friend. And so, man, 6 years ago, I just had this. God was the intervention. God intervened and was like, "Hey, that's enough. You're no longer going to be addicted to alcohol." And I have not looked back, and I have not touched a sip of alcohol. And I say intentionally because like a couple years ago, went to a birthday party at a hibachi grill, and I've never been. And the dude starts, he's doing his little thing at the grill, and he's squirting liquid into people's mouths, and they're drinking it. Looks like water. Think it's water. It's totally soju.
Mm.
And I didn't swallow it. I was like, oh, I felt horrible. I spit it out in a cup, and I just looked like this look on my face, like, but you know what? I didn't feel anything for it. I didn't feel like I needed it.
Right.
I was like, whoa. So I'm at a point now where it got in my mouth, and I didn't realize what it was. Didn't even know. Never been. Um, I spit it out, and I knew that was wrong, but I never went back to the store or contemplated getting it. I'm like, I'm so far removed from having to lean on that. And now that I lean on Christ, like I've been through so many other things, it would take 5 or 6 or 8 more episodes just to talk about.
Hmm.
But I can tell you, I learned through Christ that you can trust him. You can
Yeah.
lean on him. You can walk with him. And even though you're still broken, even though you still have those same temptations. Like sometimes we're just, in a marriage, like you just have rough seasons, man.
Hmm.
And there's times where I'm not gonna lie, I contemplated like, there's times where we were intimate for 8 months,
Mm.
and I was like tempted to just. It's easy to just open my phone and look and
Yeah.
just be done with the feeling. And there's several times where I was tempted, but God was like, "Well, you can choose me or choose that. What's your God? Because really,
Yeah.
that's your God. If you're choosing that,
Yeah. You've turned it into an idol.
it's an idol." And
Well, not at this point, but in the
well, yeah,
past.
but like
In the
in the
past.
past, it was an idol.
Yeah.
Alcohol was an idol. False gods.
Right.
Um, but like, um, well, I already know the answer. I don't have to worry, and I have faith that, um, I mean, like you hear the sermons. I think today's sermon was, um, he's right there with you
Yeah.
the whole time. He's trying to guide you to make the right decision, but ultimately he's going to let you make that decision. But you're his child,
Hmm.
so if you're on his team, you're on the winning team already.
Hmm.
You're going to go through these peaks and valleys, these ups and downs, essentially little small battles and campaigns that you might lose some, you might win some, but ultimately he wins the entire war.
Oh yeah.
So when you invest your time, it's like the best way I heard it today was like an investment, right?
Hmm.
If you knew that Apple was going to be doing, I don't know what the shares are, but it's
Yeah. Whatever it is
extreme.
now. I mean, we know they're doing.
It's sky high.
Yeah.
If you knew
Back in the early
back in
'80s.
the early 80s that Apple was going to be like this, wouldn't you dump it all? You would bet all your money on that. So you would
Yeah.
be a billionaire too.
Yeah. And
Well,
we know the outcome. We've
th-
already. We
yeah,
know it.
but
Confidence in the victory.
that's just it. Like, that, like you just said, you already know he's going to win in the end. Why not invest it all?
Right.
Why not? Well, I learned in this last men's retreat, I got to be a part of planning that, and it was great. And I missed the other ones that we had, and a couple of us other guys were like, we missed them too, and we want to. We this needs to happen.
Hmm.
We made it happen, and it was like the best thing I have ever done. I got to meet you.
Hmm.
Um,
Which is pretty amazing in its
that's
own right.
yeah, for sure. um, but like I the the guy, if you ever had your doubts, here's what the speaker said. His background. He's a scholar essentially.
Hmm.
Like he has his bachelor's degree of arts in like English literature, and so he's telling us how he had all these other books like the Iliad and the Odyssey, and he says you ask anybody today, they wouldn't refute it. They would say that's truth,
Hmm.
right? That's truth. But he explained to us how in his profession they would document literature and consider it like what percentage of it is actually like real and truthful. And he said it's time periods and how many. No, we don't have the original copies of anything, but if you have so many copies in a short amount of time or a time period, then that gives it its validity. and
Right.
and so Iliad and Odyssey was like a 400-year span,
Hmm.
but there's not too many copies of the original. It's
Right.
like 40 or 50 copies.
But still, today, irrefutably, we're going to say we know
Oh, that's
that
truth.
that was Homer.
But really, it's like 48% true that it could be real.
Right. Well, not that it's real, but
But
really written by Homer.
really written by Homer, like
Yeah.
it's 48%. That's not very good odds. But we're going to say the Bible's not true at all.
Hmm.
That's been the number one selling book in the history of history.
The very first printed book as well.
Exactly. And people will refute that all day long. Well, here's the thing is what he told us is,
Foolishly.
yeah,
Foolishly.
very foolishly. He said that you take just a small piece of what's written, let's say 1200 years. Well, in that 1200 years, when you have 8,000 copies of the original in 1200 year span, that makes it 98% factual, that the Bible is actually real.
Hmm.
So all the events or whatever's written in there are real events.
Plus all the archaeological evidence that they've uncovered in just the last 100 years alone that backs everything up.
What's profound is he said, if you take out the grammar errors, you're looking at the Bible, it's 99.6% accurate to be true.
And that's pretty overwhelming.
That's very powerful and over. I've never heard that or looked at it this way. And I already knew in my heart, but
Right.
if I ever were to question if the Bible's real or not, that's your answer,
Oh yeah.
hands down.
Yeah, I loved it. That whole I can't call it a speech, but
Let's just call it a sermon because
yeah,
that's what it
it
was.
really was. Yeah. That whole sermon was just amazing.
It's
It was very
profound.
eye opening.
I've never heard it put that way,
Right.
and then especially today, because I'm a business guy,
It's confirming.
it's very confirming. So if you ever have doubts, you shouldn't. And that's his point. That's God's point in using people like him as a vessel to tell us, tell men, tell people, if you ever had a doubt in me, here's yet another set of evidence and proof that you shouldn't, because I'm real.
Yeah, he is.
So if that's real, then the flood was real. If the flood was real, the fallen was real. And if the fallen's real, then you have things on this earth that were on this earth in the beginning of the time, giants, the Nephilim, that were actually real. And
Hmm.
everything that is written in this book, as crazy as some of it sounds, it's true.
It
And
is.
it's very awesome because I love history.
Yeah. I'm kind of a history nerd myself.
Yeah. And to listen, to just read the Bible and talk about the firmament and the waters above, the waters below, all the things like that, you're thinking in your mind, like, what is he painting a picture of? And but there's the fact that he says all these things and his message is love, because that's what he is. He's love.
Hmm.
But the fact that he's real and he sent his son for us to die on the cross, even though we don't deserve him, we deserve death.
Right.
But he loves us so much, his own son is perfect in every way, and he's the sacrificial lamb.
Hmm.
But if you believe in him, that's your only way to get to the Father,
Yeah.
is believing in him. And so there you go. That's your investment. That's your full on investment in the winning team who will win in the end. It says it's been prophesied, and all the prophecies in the Bible have come true
Yeah.
until
They
now.
have. So when you went through all that, you experienced, I mean, you had a lot of traumas that you tried to self medicate.
Yeah.
Now you're at Fellowship of the Parks in Hazlet. You're in community group with Chuck, and you're coming to terms. You're putting your past traumas, your hurts, your habits, your hangups into light. How does it look for your recovery? Like, what were the steps that you were taking now that you are a committed believer and follower in Christ? And how's from there? How's that looking today?
Well, I mean, like when PTSD first came out, when it first came out, it was like I felt like an idiot because I've struggled for so long. But it's like the doctor was like, "You have severe PTSD to the point where you're 70% disabled through the VA system just for PTSD. 70% just for that. You could almost not be okay on your own.
Oh wow.
It's that bad. And I've been through lots of therapy. I'm heavily medicated for your protection. I say that as a joke, but really it's just um yeah, I saw a t-shirt that said that, like, I'm a combat vet, but I'm heavily medicated for your
Well, I
protection.
mean, for everybody listening that isn't a veteran, they y'all got to understand that
The sick, twisted, dark
the
humor.
things that we've been through,
Yeah.
that's unfortunately a side effect, is we also cope with some dark humor.
Yeah. Um, but no, to be serious, honestly, Chuck was God knew where to plug us in, because the moment that happened and the moment we shared in life group what my struggles were, he just he as a leader and a man, he's a leader. He just he talked to me and my wife, and he's like, I know you have guns in the house and you have weapons. Why don't you just let me hold on to those until you get a little bit better?
Yeah.
And I was like, he he kind of sort of knows this, but not. we're not like that. Like at this point, I'm not like his brother or anything,
Yeah.
like
But
family, but I am at the same time.
yeah.
But like for someone to kind of, it was hard enough to tell people my my trash, like it is. Like we don't tell people our stuff. You know, it's very hard. That's something personal.
Yeah.
But like I felt something in him that I could just confide in him, and he understands because he's a paramedic. He was a paramedic. He saw
Yeah.
things,
They don't see the same things that we see, but it's
but still,
close enough.
I don't think I could see hold dead children and that from a wreck or something. You know,
Yeah.
he's shared some things, and I won't talk. You know,
Yeah.
but but the same thing. But so he understands, and so he was such a good friend. He just knew to do something, knew to act, and he
Yeah.
did, and that just spoke to me. And you know, I got better and things, and you know, of course, I got my guns back, but I
I
got
mean, this is Texas.
right.
We gotta hunt.
Yeah, we got to hunt, got to protect our house, and got to hunt. But like it started a really good friendship and a bond and a brotherhood is what it did.
Yeah.
And you know, all our boys, you know, they are real close. Him and Jackson and Levi, Jackson and Machika is Chuck's middle son,
Hmm.
and they just are brothers pretty much. But that's what we wanted, community. You know, our kids grow up together in the church and things like that. And you know, Chuck is our pastor, but he's also our friend, and he was a life group leader, but he's still in the same life group. And then we have the Davises who lead it,
Hmm.
but we're all still pretty much the same group almost 10 years ago
Yeah.
because we that's our people, that's our circle, you know, and they know our how messy, you know. But you know, I'm still growing in
Hmm.
my faith. There's still bumps and bruises and down the road, but the ultimate thing is I know who's in charge. I know who's gonna win. I
Yeah.
know the story how it ends, and I don't have to worry anymore. And he doesn't want us to worry.
Right.
And where
It
I'm
gives
at,
us that confidence.
exactly. And faith is like faith is not, it's not knowing um like what the future holds, it's knowing who holds your future.
Yeah.
And just because we can't see him, he's there. He left the Holy Spirit for us
Yeah.
to dwell in us. To That's how he knows who his kids are, because the Holy Spirit dwells in us to guide us, convict us, to steer us right back to the path that we need to be back on. And you know, my wife is finally getting help with some of her childhood trauma, and it's good to see her because she is like me. We are like almost the same person. We just know how to stuff our trauma down
Hmm.
until it comes out. I'm
Stuff it down
more
and keep moving. Yeah.
right. I'm more dramatic than she is, I guess, when it comes to that, because
Yeah.
hers she pushes away. That's how you know she's not good. Me, I obviously drank alcohol and
Yeah.
stumbled, and but we're
Or you
good.
did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. Now it's a lot of prayer and a lot of surrounding myself with family, and now my family, we make our own traditions, we do our
Hmm.
own things. We are changing our own family legacies. We're the black sheep of our families,
Yeah.
and they hate us for it. My parents don't care to have a relationship with us because of it. I think is the difference is we have Christ and they don't.
Yeah.
And that's hard. I struggle with that because they're your parent. I love them, but I don't like them so much
Hmm.
because they're very toxic. It's very toxic to be around them. It's almost not healthy. And um you know, I was trying to wrap it up that way I don't take too much and make this like a 8-part series because I could talk forever. I like to talk now. Now I used to be shy and don't want to share my testimony, but God said, "Well, guess what? All the things that you went through, they weren't for you to hold on to. You know, you need to share these things because it could help other people realize that yeah, you might go through things." And I remember quoting Job and Psalms of David, and when I go through really horrible times,
Yeah.
but
Applicable.
applicable
Yeah.
because David did really bad things, and he
Hmm.
was a man after God's own heart.
And he went through some really hard times as
Really
well.
hard times, but he's still God's, he's still part of God's kingdom,
Yeah.
and so are we. Um, but yeah, I mean, I went through crappy job after crappy job. COVID really took a hit on us financially. We're still recovering, but hey, um, I mean, we're never going to be millionaires, and God doesn't say it's going to be easier just because you're part of His family.
Right.
In fact, it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
So,
But he does say he's going to give
but
you
He
hope.
does give us hope, and He takes care of you.
Yeah. Amen.
And as a family, we're closer than we've ever been, and I'm really proud of my wife. She 3 I think 2 or 3 years ago, they started Unfaulted,
Hmm.
which is what it is these they help sponsor and they help young women aging out of foster care system. And guys, if you don't know, the foster care system today is essentially a sanctified human trafficking facility. It
Yeah.
really is. They
It's a mess.
they exploit kids for money. Don't get me wrong. There are so many wonderful, amazing foster parents out there that are just have a heart to help out kids, and we need those people.
Yeah.
Like, kids need to be taken care of, but there's always that group of people that take advantage.
Hmm.
And
And every
in every
facet,
yeah,
every
and there, but inside the foster care system and CPS and all, there's also those people who do the same thing.
yeah,
Or there's like, we've learned the horror stories of foster care. We've also learned the amazing side of foster
yeah,
care.
because there are those also.
They're all those stories too. And so Angela Lippens, who's our, basically like my sister.
Hmm.
Um, we've been friends with the Lippens for a long time, really close. Like our kids, it's like our families are really, really close though. Well, Corinne and Angela decided to start up Unfaulted. And well, now what it looks like, fast forward to 3 years from now, well, they both got to move away from the church and quit their jobs at the church and work for Unfaulted full time.
Which they're both sorely missed.
They're yeah, yeah. No, they are for sure. I mean, every at least for sure every like Christmas holiday, because it gets busy at church.
Mm.
The new ladies that took over their place, they're like, "Is this how you guys did it? How did you do it?" Like,
Which they're doing an
oh,
incredible job now
oh, they
too.
are really amazing. Yeah. Um, but Unfaulted has been a huge blessing because I learned that my gift is I love to help people.
Hmm.
I love to share good experiences with people. Um, and learning the foster care system, these girls age out anywhere from 18 to 21. They're allowed to stay
Hmm.
until 21, but by that time, a lot of these girls have kids of their own.
Yeah,
But guess what? There's nothing the CPS people or their counselors can do. They have to put them on the streets when they're aged out, like they have nowhere else to go.
yeah,
And where Unfaulted comes in is making those connections before then, and taking these girls and sponsoring. They find people that donate and sponsor these girls, but it takes like $8,000 a year to sponsor one girl.
oh wow,
And these girls have been through
they've been through some things.
42, one of them 42 homes in 16 and a half years, has a sixth grade education, has 3 kids. These young women are literally adults, expected to be adults, but in their mind have so much trauma. They're 13-year-olds,
Yeah,
and they don't know what to do. And they're so comfortable with the trauma that they went in, they go back to it.
right.
Because
And one thing that they don't have, and I'm just thinking about your story here, is they also, I mean, whether it's a young lady or a young man coming out of that system, you don't have what it looks like to be a man or what it looks like for a righteous man to pursue you. They don't know what that looks like.
they get, they don't. And because they don't, they get easily sucked into like sex trafficking, is where they most likely go. A lot of them, or they pass away, unfortunately,
Yeah.
or they are so messed up, just they can't,
Now their kids start going through the same system.
kids get put in the same system. And it's just, we've heard this one girl talk about the the horrible foster parents that she was with this one time. Was the parents knew how to get more money for her. They tell her one time, you need to brush your teeth, and she doesn't do it just because she's a kid.
Yeah.
She can be stamped as like a bad kid and get paid more money because she's a knucklehead. But yet, all it was is she just didn't brush her teeth when she was told one time.
Yeah.
So now she's a bad kid.
I mean, how as parents, how many times have we told our own kids go brush your teeth
Gosh.
and had to repeatedly tell them the same
Yeah.
thing? How many times do we tell them go clean your room?
But these horrible people that get into foster care, the bad ones, they know that. And they say, okay, this kid was bad. She didn't brush her teeth. But the, the way the system's rigged up is like, that's a facet to go, okay, well, now you can either, it's like like the girls are a tool. Well, you can either, get yourself another child and give her back and we'll give you a better child, or you can get more money because she's such a bad kid.
Yeah.
Or if it's bad enough, some of the girls said that if they get that little stamp in their book, whatever they call it, enough times, they can be deemed unadoptable. All because you didn't brush your teeth 3 times. Now you can be unadoptable.
Mm.
And guess what? That's a straight that's a straight ticket to the streets. That's what that is. That they could die on the streets. They do die on the streets. And you're just heartbroken. But then you thank God for an organization like this, because in the 3 years it's really blown up so bad that like my wife is constantly busy. She's the COO and Angela's
Mhm.
the CEO, and
Right.
but I mean they love their job though, and I love it because I get to be big brother, or I'm that figure that they need to be looking for.
Right.
But God's also working on my heart and working on me as a man. I'm trying to show my own daughters and my son what it looks like.
Right.
And my wife needs the spiritual leader in the family. And I, for the longest time, I didn't know that's what I needed to be. Now I do.
Yeah.
And every year as it goes, we have our challenges, but I don't have to worry. Of course, the flesh worries,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to it, God wins and he can take that. And he wants to take that.
He tells us.
He tells us he can take
He
that.
says, "Take my yoke. It's light. It's soft."
And what kind of God does that?
Right. I only know of one.
Yeah, the one. And I love it. I teach my kids, I pray with my kids, I show them what that looks like. I pray with my wife, and every night my youngest, I'm teaching her how to pray before bedtime, and or what is sometimes, prayer needs to be a little bit more, or I'm even learning. See, I read the Bible recap. It's
Mhm.
a it's a on the way to work I have about an hour.
Yeah.
I can't physically read the paper, but I do that too. I just need to do that more because I feel like me, if you're reading the words on the page yourself and touching the physical Bible, God speaks to you a little bit better. I don't know,
Yeah.
that's just me personally.
No,
But
I think I'm understanding what you're saying.
yeah,
It's the
and
same
but
term. I can't do audio.
I I it's I don't prefer it, but I'm getting the word in though. I'm
Yeah.
still getting the word in.
Right.
That's the main thing. Is I'm getting the word in, is the Bible recap. But the cool thing is there's a podcast called the Bible Recap, and Tara Lee Cobble is the lady who does it, and she breaks down what you just listened to, and it's the actual Bible that's being read to you, word for word. But then she kind of breaks it out into context, and she kind of gives you the meats and potato, like what you just listened to, and some of it, you just don't understand it. It's hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
But when she explains it, and you get the picture of what she's talking about, you ingest it more and you understand it more. And then when you go actually physically read it, then you know what you're talking about or what God's trying to teach you.
Hmm.
And it's amazing. You get these moments, these aha moments, but you're more intimate with it. But then you can teach your kids, or you just walk in that and people see something about you that they can't explain. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at as a family, and that's where I'm at in my walk. It's great. I finally got the job of my dreams. I finally, after I went to school for 5 years, I have a bachelor's degree in business management and a MBA and a PMP.
So
And
you just went for the full
oh
gambit,
man,
right? In
I,
one swoop, huh?
I mean, I have my yellow belt and gray belt certified Lean Six Sigma, Lean Manufacturing, Toyota Way.
Hmm.
So I pair all that with I just love business and whenever um Doug Walker or Chuck uses business parables to relate, I'm like, dude, that's totally awesome. You should completely invest 100% of your life into Christ because it comes back to you infinity.
It really does, and we're not talking financially because
No, I'm
we
not
hear
even. Who
that
cares
from,
about financially?
yeah,
That's like financially is the byproduct
yeah,
of just getting immersed in who Christ is personally for your mental health.
yeah. It
I mean,
the real return on investment, I guess, is
yeah,
the radical heart change, the radical life change that comes with that, and just the love you experience, the love, not just people loving you, but how you find yourself loving others as well.
and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And it's a beautiful story of redemption. I love how Christ is able to come in and just take all the bad things and say, what you thought was bad is actually a beautiful thing. And now we're going to take these horrible experiences and turn them into tools that you can use to reach other men who, or even women who
Yeah,
have experienced similar things. And we're going to bring glory to the kingdom with this.
for sure. And my favorite part is um, my wife, my best friend, and my partner in all this. I mean, I really can't. I can say that, and she'll deny it, but God put her in my life for, and she's the type of woman that I needed because
Hmm.
she does set me straight.
Yeah.
She helps me. Um, sometimes I just don't get it. I don't take hints. I'm a Marine. I don't take hints. I'm black and white person. Like my personality is like it either is or it isn't. But
Yeah.
that you're taught that in the Marine Corps.
Hmm.
There's no gray area for me, but she's my gray area. She's like, but there can be a gray area. There can be peace.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be guns blazing all the time. I'm like, but there's no other way.
And oh, watch this.
Yeah. And she has this wonderful piece about her. Um, but I'm so drawn to her. And I always have been from the moment I saw her. I was like, that woman is going to be my wife
Hmm.
for as long as God will let me. We are celebrating, we're coming up on 19 years. Next April will be 19 years of wonderful marriage.
Oh, right on.
But
Amen.
remember that weird date, January 18th, 2004 is when we became a couple.
Hmm.
So really we've been a couple. We were a couple 19 years. My my oldest is I can never forget. God won't let me forget because my oldest is 17 years, which we're obviously married a year, our marriage is like a year ahead of that, but then the car we bought was the same year, you know.
Hmm.
My car is 18 years old. I mean all these little bits and pieces. It's funny and weird how
All the little things that
the
point to,
little things that come together.
yeah, that points to how God has brought you through all that.
I mean, yes. And I'm dealing with, I mean, I'm a car guy. I love cars. I want a toy for my next car, even if I can afford it. Um, even in this car is like, I look at it that way. Like, I like to turn wrenches because my woo-saw. Like, I learn new things.
Hmm.
I'm constantly learning new things about my car. But then I'm looking at like, man, this car is so old. It just hit the 215-mile mark, but the engine itself is nothing wrong with it.
215 or 215,000.
Yeah, 215,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Thought that's what you
No, yeah.
for clarity.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. I mean, it looks like a rust bucket, but it's got a strong engine. It's just the components are falling apart.
Hmm. I mean, as they would after 18 years.
Yeah. And my thing is like, thank God. Thank you, Lord. This car has gotten us through it. It's still getting us through it. The parts are cheap and they're easier to work on. And this other than changing tires and like the fuel pump 2 or 3 times, the starter a couple of times, like the radiator, but nothing major like the transmission or engine. Um, it's been a great running car,
Mhm.
and but the crazy part, it's been in my family since our family was established, and so, um, but I don't know, like I found myself lately, like God just, I know this car is towards the end, but um, please, I don't want to just wake up and then the thing just decide, okay, I'm done, because I just got a really good job and I'm looking to stay with, and but I think he probably just laughs at something like that, and he's like, really, man, like okay,
Because he can take a situation like that and say, "Hey, watch this."
yeah, because that car's been 18 years old. He's like, it's not gonna, you know, but something as funny as that, you know, to us, it's like, well, if this car doesn't start, which it's happened,
Hmm.
literally, I just started that job, and like a week later, the stupid fuel pump went out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're still trying to like figure out bills, and like, I don't have time for this.
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm worried about calling my job and like my car is broken, and then them being like, well, since you don't have reliable transportation, but God has shown me that that's not the purpose, because I called and they're like, well, just work from home today. We understand. I'm like,
Oh
can I get that in writing?
yeah, I can do that.
But we're at the season in life where God's like, calm down, trust me. Look at all the things I got you through before. Why is this car such a big deal?
Hmm.
It's really not. But, well, I really appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate you agreeing to sit down with us and talk. This is, like I said, this is such a beautiful story of redemption through Christ and what He can do when we give it up and let Him work on it.
that's the thing. We just got to give it up.
Yeah,
God sacrificed for us. We gotta do that we gotta give up. Giving it to him is the best thing you can do.
yeah. Sometimes that's the hard thing to do, but
That's really hard sometimes.
there's beautiful ministries for that. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. We're going to wrap up this series, 3-part series with Marine Corps veteran Josh Bird. Thank you guys again for listening in. Please, please, please share this podcast with your friends, and don't forget to like us and follow us. Find us on Facebook, and also if you have veteran friends or you're a veteran yourself and you have an amazing story to share, reach out to us. Let us know. We'd love to sit down and talk with you. But until then, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.